Imagine this. It's a dark, cold morning in the vast capital of the Sasanian Empire. The streets are eerily quiet, except for the faint sound of marching soldiers. In their midst walks a man, head held high, even as chains rattle around his wrists. His face bears no trace of fear, only resolve. Every step he takes is one closer to his death, but he marches with a calmness that unsettles even his captors. This man is Shimun Sabbae. He's no warrior with swords or shields. He's a shepherd, a leader of a persecuted Christian community. But today, he faces a foe greater than any army, the wrath of an empire determined to erase his faith. The question burning in the minds of everyone watching is, why doesn't he just give in? Why not say a few words, save himself, and live to fight another day? What unfolds is one of the most heart-wrenching and inspiring stories of courage, sacrifice, and unshakable faith. Stay with me as we journey back to the 4th century to uncover the extraordinary life and martyrdom of Shimun Sabbae, a man who stood against the forces of an empire armed with nothing but his faith. The 4th century was a time of great turmoil and change. The Sasanian Empire, a dominant force in the east, was locked in a bitter rivalry with the Roman Empire. While Rome embraced Christianity after Emperor Constantine's conversion, Persia clung tightly to its Zoroastrian traditions. This religious divide became a political weapon. For King Shapur II, Christians were not just a religious group, they were a potential threat. Their loyalty to a faith associated with Rome, Persia's sworn enemy, made them suspects of treason. To Shapur, crushing Christianity was not just about preserving Zoroastrianism. It was about securing his throne against perceived spies and rebels. Under this shadow of suspicion, Christians lived as second-class citizens, heavily taxed and frequently harassed. Yet they persisted. Their faith spread like wildfire and their numbers grew. Among these believers was Shimun Sabbae, a man who would become their spiritual leader and, ultimately, their greatest defender. Shimun's early life was marked by devotion. Born into a family of believers, he grew up witnessing the hardships Christians endured. But instead of being crushed by these challenges, they forged him into a man of unwavering faith. When he became the Patriarch of the Church of the East, Shimun didn't just inherit a title, he inherited a burden. His flock looked to him for guidance, protection, and hope in a world that sought to extinguish them. He wasn't a distant leader. He walked among his people, shared in their joys and sorrows, and reminded them of the eternal promise of Christ. Under his leadership, the church flourished despite persecution. Shimun sent missionaries to spread the gospel, establish churches, and strengthened the faith of believers. But his greatest test was yet to come, a test that would demand everything he had. In 339 AD, King Shapur II delivered a devastating blow to the Christian community. He demanded that they pay double taxes, a crippling financial burden designed to crush their spirit and force them into submission. When news of this decree reached Shimun, he was faced with an agonizing decision. Should he comply and keep his people safe, at least for a while? Or should he resist, knowing full well the consequences? Shimun chose the latter. He refused to bow to the king's demands, declaring that his loyalty was to God, not to oppressive rulers. His defiance wasn't just an act of rebellion, it was an act of love. He knew that surrendering to the king's demands would only embolden the empire to demand more. By standing firm, he hoped to show his people that their faith was worth any cost. Shapur II was enraged. To him, Shimun's defiance wasn't just insubordination. It was a challenge to his authority. The king ordered the arrest of the bishop, along with several other Christian leaders. The court of King Shapur II was a spectacle of wealth and power. Ornate columns towered above, adorned with gold and jewels. Courtiers and advisors filled the room, eager to witness the confrontation between the king and the defiant bishop. Mar Shimun was brought in, shackled but unbroken. The king, seated on his grand throne, wasted no time. He demanded that Mar Shimun renounce his faith, convert to Zoroastrianism, and pledge allegiance to the empire. For a moment, silence filled the hall. All eyes were on Mar Shimun. Surely they thought he would submit. What choice did he have? But Mar Shimun's response stunned them all. He declared, "I cannot betray my lord. I am the shepherd of my flock, and I will not abandon them for the sake of my own life. I serve Christ, not the whims of kings." Shapur's voice thundered through the hall. "Do you not realize that your refusal condemns not just you, but your people? Their blood will be on your hands." Mar Shimun's reply was calm but resolute. "Their blood will not be on my hands, but on yours, O king. I stand before you not as a traitor, but as a witness to the truth of Christ. Do what you must, for my faith will not waver." The king's fury was palpable, but no threats could shake the bishop's resolve. Mar Shimun was sentenced to death. Along with him, scores of other Christian leaders were also condemned. The execution was to serve as a grim warning to any who dared to defy the empire. As they were led to their deaths, Mar Shimun and his companions sang hymns of praise. Their voices echoed through the streets, a haunting melody that spoke of faith stronger than fear. Witnesses described how their faces shone with peace, even as they faced the sword. When Mar Shimun was offered one final chance to recant, he simply said, "I have given my life to Christ. There is nothing more to say." With those words, he knelt and was beheaded. Mar Shimun's martyrdom did not silence the church. On the contrary, it ignited a flame of faith that burned brighter than ever. His courage inspired countless Christians to stand firm in their beliefs, even in the face of persecution. The Church of the East continued to grow, spreading the gospel to lands far beyond Persia. Mar Shimun's sacrifice became a symbol of hope and a reminder that faith is worth any price. Even today, his story resonates with Christians around the world. It challenges us to examine our own faith and ask, would we have the courage to stand as he did? Mar Shimun Sabbae's story is not just a tale from the past. It's a timeless testament to the power of faith, courage, and sacrifice. His life reminds us that true strength isn't found in wealth, power, or armies. It's found in the quiet, unshakable resolve of a heart devoted to God. As you reflect on his story, let it inspire you to stand firm in your own beliefs, no matter the challenges you face. For in the words of Mar Shimun himself, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. And so, the legacy of Mar Shimun Sabbae lives on, a beacon of light in the darkest of times, a hero who defied an empire for the sake of his faith.